Right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the last State TA Day of 2025. Um, it's been an amazing year. A lot has happened. A lot is happening. um, so thank you all for being here and for keeping up with it and for being amazing partners to the state. Um, so we are going to kick off today's meeting with Rebecca Vlaschin. Did I pronounce that correct? Okay, cool. Who's going to talk to us about Colorado Shines rating. I know there's been some information has gone out there, but just to clarify, we're going to have some time for questions. So with that, take it away, Rebecca.
Thanks, Charlie. For those of you who don't know me yet, I am the division director for the workforce division, and our team does include the QRIS team. And I've been here a couple times, but there are some new faces that I see anyway on the call, so I wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. I came today to connect with you all about the QRIS refresh and answer any questions that you might have. We want to be moving very closely in alignment with all of you as we navigate this refresh. And we've updated, sorry, I was looking at the chat for a minute. We've updated the Colorado Shines website with the documents that you all should have received that include, I think, answers to a lot of the questions that have probably come up so far. And we also have new questions that are emerging every day. There is some confusion out there, and we've seen some communication on social media and in other spaces that we do want to clear up. And I want to just start by saying this is in the FAQs, but in case any of you have been wondering about QI funding, that is not part of the projected cuts. So we anticipate QI funding at the same level for councils that we've had in the past. We also aren't anticipating cuts to the other 4 core council areas: systems building, base QI, targeted QI, or navigation. So we have a little more details that will be coming out on that in a January amendment, but we have done everything we can to preserve the funding for those core pieces of the work that you all do. The hard part is that we will be navigating a cut to the observations. Those are the ERS observations, and we're working really closely with Shine Early Learning. And I know Ivan's on the call to make sure that that process of going through both this fiscal year and next fiscal year will be smooth for providers. We really want to hold everyone harmless and ensure that they feel supported in the way that they need to be through this change. We also know that folks have commitments that they've made both to councils and to other funders, and we want to provide opportunities for them to increase their quality over the next 18 months as well. So there aren't cuts to the alternative pathways portion. In fact, we're hoping to increase access to that particular pathway, and we will be stepping into much more engagement around the QRIS process over the next few months, and we'll definitely continue to partner with you all as we plan those next steps. Some of them are still to be determined, and we have to get through some of the legislative process as well related to this budget. So please take a look at the website, which I've linked here in the agenda. There's a page that says QRIS refresh. And if you are hearing things from providers or partners and you want to make sure that they get the most up-to-date information, you can share that page with them. Thanks, Jen, for putting that in chat. So yeah, happy to now open it up for any questions, concerns, things that are coming up from you all. Yeah, Julia.
I should always go first. I just want to have a quick clarification. So we have providers. I have it's kind of a two-parter. So I have providers that are coming up with ratings and they're like, should I push my button? Do I have to have my button pushed to maintain my level 3 to 5 rating if my rating is going to be on hold? So that was one question. And then the other is, if current level 2s are pushing their button, will they be prioritized potentially this spring to help with our WIG goals that we have around engagement?
I'm writing these down.
Great.
just so that I can make sure that I take these back. I know Ivan's on the call and probably the QRIS team can answer those better than I can. What I can say is that we are meeting weekly with the assessment team to make these determinations. My understanding, and Charlie and team, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that yes, they do need to actually indicate by pushing the button, as you say, that they want to hold their rating. So there is an action that needs to be taken on their part. And then in terms of prioritizing level 2s, that would absolutely be our intention if we can make that happen. It is a WIG goal. It is goals that providers have committed to with you all as well as ECCs. We need to continue to understand how many people are in that category and make sure that we have the ability to negotiate the budget that we do have in order to prioritize folks. So I can't make 100% commitment right now, but I know that's what we're working on a regular basis with our partners at Shine Early Learning. Team, is that accurate? Would you change anything?
Just in terms of ratings being extended, we are doing, we are going in and we are ensuring that anybody who has a current level 3 or level 4 or level 5 rating, that those will not drop during the pause. So we would like for programs who, would be expiring before July of 2027, we would like those programs to go in and request a rating if they would expire during that time, but they won't drop if they don't. So we are getting ahead of that and going in and just making sure that nobody will drop during the ratings pause. So yep. And then in terms of prioritizing level 2s, Rebecca hit it on the nose where we are doing our best to prioritize those level 2s. However, that doesn't mean that everybody who has the level 2 will be able to rate. So we're doing our best to prioritize, and we are working on an alternative process for programs who are level 2 to be able to move up during the ratings pause. What that looks like, we are still kind of in the throes of, but we don't want anyone to feel like they're stuck at a level 2 and won't be able to move up for over a year. So we are working on what that solution will look like. I think Stephanie had a question here.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Stephanie.
Should programs that are currently level 2s that have already submitted their level 3 through 5 application but have not received a rating window be expecting an observation or not?
Not at this point. If they have not received a rating window, then it's likely they won't be rating until after the pause.
So as a level 2 program that's already submitted their application, they're not going to have the opportunity to rate at all? Sorry.
No, as a level 2 program who submitted an application, there's still a chance that they might be assigned a rating month in the spring. But
would it include an observation was my question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Through April at least, we are expecting Colorado Shine's observations to continue through April of 2026.
Because they haven't been assigned to their rating window, if they don't get one before, I have one program that's already submitted their application that's put in a lot of work and is just unsure what this means for them. And we need to know if we need to be supporting an ERS or not.
I'm going to let Ivan
real quick,
jump
Charlie?
in. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So part of my talking points later on, I was going to address some of this, but I'll just answer it now. So right now, as we're trying to reach out to programs that are dropping and fill in the space for additional observations, we will be reaching out to level 2 programs to try to fill some of that space that's available. As Rebecca and Charlie mentioned, that is going to be some of our biggest priority to fill those spaces. Unfortunately, we do not know what our staffing is going to look like come March and April, or even any farther out. So we're going to try to fill them and hope that they'll stay in that spot. But when it comes to our staffing, we don't know what will happen with that as well. So yes, there will be outreach to those programs. That the typical outreach is by whoever submitted their application first, we reach out to them and try to schedule them. That's exactly how I was planning on doing it again once we have some space available, and we kind of know what the scheduling looks like. But I'll kind of touch on this a little bit more during kind of talking about that rating request form and all the pause form that we sent out a little bit earlier. So, but yes, we will try to fill those in with level 2s.
Thank you.
Shelley, I think you were next.
Awesome, thanks. So I have a program up in Broomfield. They're a city preschool program. They're scheduled for their rating this spring, and the director would like to opt out, but her board in the city wants it guaranteed in writing that they keep their level 5, that they would keep their level 5 through the pause. Is there any such documentation that they can get that will guarantee their rating stays level 5?
Yes, we can provide that, Shelley. Let me get with you directly. And which is Charlie, is that your?
I think it's
Yeah,
level-
Shelley, if you don't mind just sending the help desk the information and we'll follow back with, you can get some official documentation out there.
Okay, great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, and then we have Tiffany, and I want to get to the one in chat as well. Tiffany, you're next.
Thanks, you guys. So Ivan, first of all, thank you for sending out that information. I'm curious if it's going to go out to all providers, because right now it only went out to those that were in queue for a rating. That's one question that I have. And then my second one is that report that we receive, it feels like every other day, but it might be weekly, that shows from Zach how many are in queue. I know that my programs that were level 3 to 5 have elected to not rate this fiscal year. When is that going to be updated so that we can truly see who is going to be in this crunch period and who is not?
I think that's too detailed. Is that, Ivan, are you taking that one? That seems too detailed for me.
Well, I was going to talk about the email that went out and who it was sent to, but so some of these questions kind of revolve around some of the thing I was going to talk about next regarding the form. So if you don't mind holding on that, Tiffany, I can probably answer that question for everyone about who exactly it went to, who it didn't go to, and the reasoning behind that form.
That sounds great. Thank you, Ivan. And then in the chat, we have from name not available, from Anonymous, a question. If an L2 was scheduled to rate this spring and they want to switch to an alternative pathway if it's offered, should they fill out the QRIS form? Should they say yes and they want to rate, or should they postpone? Ivan, is that related to what you will share as well?
So not particularly, because I don't know all the ins and outs of the alternative pathway. I would kind of suggest for that program that they submit at least their level 3 to 5 application potentially before their L2 expires, though, just so that they don't drop from there, because at least then I'll hold their L2 a little bit longer. But I don't know the ins and outs of that specific program either. But and I don't know specifically how they're going to make it through the alternative pathways either, of how the state's going to decide to pull those programs in and rate them with that alternative pathway. But I would recommend for any L2s that have an expiration date coming up to definitely push the submit button so they'll at least drop down to a 1.
Yep. This is Tina. I was the one who asked this is Tina. I was the one who asked the question. I guess I have an L2 that is scheduled to rate and they don't know how to fill out the form. And I guess you'll get that, which way to fill it out, because they would be interested in an alternative pathway if it was offered. So that's kind of where the question is like, if they're already scheduled to rate this spring, how should they fill out the form if they would consider an alternative pathway?
So I guess that's probably program specific, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the state, but if they want to continue to rate, we're continuing to rate those level 2 programs so that they can go through the regular rating process. Again, if the program wants to not go through the standard Colorado Shines rating and observation process, it seems to me like they have that right as well to kind of pause and see what the state is going to offer. But as of right now, we're scheduling all the level 2s and keeping them in the queue and planning on rating them as normal so that they can go through that regular process.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. And Michelle, I
Thank
do
you.
think you can add some context here as well.
So I'm going to say it's going to depend on the alternative pathway they're talking about. If it's one of the national accrediting bodies, what you'll have to keep in mind, and that program will need to keep in mind, is that usually they require a 1-year self-study period before they can even apply to become accredited. So either way, we're looking at if they want to go through an alternative pathway that's a national accrediting body, that they would need to maintain their level 2 while they're going through and working on getting accredited. That also being said, we still don't know what, if we're going to come up with some sort of alternative pathway for those programs that are wanting to be recognized as level, as a higher level or high quality program. That's still yet to be determined. We're still trying to work on that and talk, we're in discussions about that. So until then, I would advise that they just stay the course and they stay on the schedule to get rated currently as they are for right now.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Ivan. And then we have a question from Karen. Let's see, they've got an owner. Okay, so it's about rolling over because they will have a new owner. I do not know the answer to this either. Do we have an answer, team, or should we get back to Karen?
Yeah, so they'll be extended. We'll do the typical 6-month extension, but then the extension will also go through till the end of the pause. So there's nothing they'll need to do. They'll be extended for that entire time.
Awesome. Okay. I just want to share that I really appreciate the opportunity to have these conversations together and to work together to understand what the questions are, understand how we need to respond in a way that is supportive of not only your work as councils, but our goals in terms of quality improvement, and most importantly, the provider experience. So thank you all. I'm going to hang around for a while if other questions come up, but I want to make sure we can keep moving the agenda along because I think I'm at time. Is that right, Charlie?
Yes, but we do have some extra, or actually I gave you until 1:30, so we have more
Okay.
time.
Okay. Are there other questions then that we need to talk about before moving on to Ivan? Because there might be questions from his presentation as well. Okay, then I will pass it over to you, Ivan.
Okay, well, thank you. So I know Rebecca talked about most of the changes regarding the QRIS update, and then Charlie has asked me if I can just talk a little bit more about the email that we sent out on the 21st of November. I know we've all received information now a couple weeks ago regarding the state budget cuts and the pausing of the ratings, but following that notification, we sent out an email from our end with a link to a rating decision form. That form was then distributed to all programs who were scheduled to rate between January and June, and it was only sent out to those programs. The purpose of the form was to gather feedback from those programs, specifically whether they preferred to hold their rating during the pause or continue as scheduled. And it was intended to help us identify openings in the schedule to really make space for those additional programs, like those level 2s that want to get back into the queue and hopefully rate before the pause. So again, it was not sent out to all programs. It was only sent out to those specific programs that have already been scheduled. We also shared that form with council contacts that we have in our system so that the coaches can access it. We know coaches have that insight to the programs that they support, and so we figured that they could help advise and assist those programs in completing the form if needed. Also, we wanted them to have a reference so when programs start talking to them, they know what form was sent out. Again, that form was not sent out to everybody, so please don't share it with all the other programs that are not in the queue, because that form is not intended for us to kind of prioritize level 2s that we're going to schedule. It's really only intended for us to schedule, to make adjustments to the schedule that we have right now, because we're trying to filter through those level 3 to 5s that want to hold their rating and remove themselves from the queue, so we can as quickly as possible start adding those additional level 2s into the queue and give them as much notice as possible of their upcoming rating window. Once we have a clear picture of how many programs opt out, we'll reach out to those additional programs to fill in the schedule the best we can. Kind of to the earlier point, as programs drop, Yes, we're going to reach out to level twos specifically to add them to the schedule. But again, as I mentioned before, unfortunately, we don't know exactly what our staffing will look like during that time. We're basically, as you all know, kind of knowing that we're going to be winding things down, walking into our inevitability end. So we do not know what our staffing will be during those months of March, April, and potentially May. So even if we schedule programs now for those specific months, we may come back later on and say, unfortunately, we can't handle that capacity that we scheduled for. So please understand that there are going to be many ups and downs as we continue to move forward with this. I personally just want to thank all of you and pass on to your programs my gratitude for your patience during this transition. There's likely to be more movement during some of these final months, but please know I'm still here to serve you and help any way I can while I'm here. Please do not hesitate to call me or email me with any questions that you guys have. And honestly, just on behalf of us and all my team, just want to say what a pleasure it has been working with all of you during this time. Any questions? Looks like there's a few popping up.
Ivan, this is Julia Brink.
Yes,
I was just going to
please.
ask, I've reached out to everyone that's in the queue, and I have a little chart because our level 3 to 5s have decided that they want to, the level 3 to 5s want to hold their ratings, but our level 2s want to move forward with their ratings. So would it be helpful if I sent you our list, or just had anybody fill out, you know, I know most of them have filled out the form, but I just wasn't sure. I wanted to check.
So as of now, like, that's what we were thinking of, having councils also reach out to us with a list. But ideally, if you can even complete the form on behalf of those programs that want to remove themselves, that way we have a record of who specifically raised their hand and said they wanted to be removed from the queue. We've also shared that view with the state so they can kind of track the progress on who's moving out as well, and who's letting us know about that. So if you can have them fill out the form just for historical purposes, so we can go back and say, you chose to be removed from the queue at this time, and it's not just us removing them from the queue without, eventually I won't have an email anymore, right? So I won't be able to share, I got an email from Julie at this time. So if the state has access to that form, they'll be able to say, well, you decided to remove yourself from the queue at this point. So we want the programs to have some accountability as well for removing themselves. Okay. So let me start up top. Having just attended the Build conference, there are lots of great ideas that have been shared. Okay, that's not a question for me. Do you anticipate programs that are farther away from Denver are less likely to get a rating if staffing is an issue in this spring? So we have not made that, I guess, final decision on how that will look. Obviously, with cuts to the budget, we do have to factor in things such as travel. We are in talks with the state on kind of what some of those things may look like. So yes, there might be issues where we can't afford to travel and rent a room, rent a car, things like that for observations, if it comes down to those types of situations. Right now, we're not basing any decisions on travel or anything like that, and we're continuing to, if we have a program scheduled for January, February, March, that's up in Breckenridge, we're still planning on going and observing it just as normally. But as things get tighter and closer, those might factor into some of the decisions that do get made later on. But as of now, that's not something that we're basing our decisions on. I have a program that is not in the queue, but they did get an email from someone with the subject line, Colorado Shines Quality Rating Improvement System Memo. Did that program receive an email from CDEC if they did not receive one from Ivan? So, and Charlotte can correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, CDEC did send out an email to all programs informing them of the pause and what is happening. Our email was specifically in relation to scheduling and wanting to know if programs want to remain in the queue or be removed. So yes, there has been a couple different emails coming from a couple different places. Just kind of one informative, another one asking for them to give us some information. Another question is, I'm hoping to get clarification on a program that is currently on probation, but is expected to be off probation by the end of December 2025. They're currently a level 2 and would like to submit for a rating. Once their probation status ends, are they allowed to submit for a Colorado Shines rating right away? How does a pause in ratings affect this program? I do not want to overstep my bounds and talk about a program that's on probation, so I might defer that back to Charlie so that he can kind of answer that question better than I can. But if there's an application that comes through, we will schedule them just as normal, but I don't know if they can actually submit their application prior while they're on probation, and if we'll even be able to get to them at that point.
Michelle, do you
Michelle?
want to jump in?
Sure. I just wanted to add that typically once licensing takes their licensing status and puts them back on permanent status, that should unlock the system for them to be able to apply for a level 3 through 5. So as soon as they are off of probation and licensing has changed that on their Salesforce account, then they should be eligible to go ahead and apply.
So a couple kind comments in there. Thank you for that, Diane and Karen. And then there's another question about, is there any consideration about using the same approach that was used during COVID to help ease some of these pressures? I don't know specifically what that is in relation to, but maybe Charlie or the team over there can answer some of that question a little bit more.
You know, Stacy, nothing's off the table at this point. No bad ideas in a brainstorm. So we're working, and we're going to try to figure out the most efficient, least harmful path forward for our programs during the pause, which might include submitting uploaded documents and receiving kind of like a interim alternative pathway, something like that. Might include, proof of a self-assessment type of thing. So we're going to be working on that in the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll have more information. But yeah, no bad ideas. So if you have an idea, we're always open to taking those. Feel free to email our help desk. Yeah, I've been kind of skipped through the kind things that people were saying about him, but I just want to echo what an amazing person and partner he has been during this time, and his positivity and just like getting in there, sending out that email, trying to figure this out alongside with us. We could not ask for a better teammate here. So thank you, Ivan, and really the entire Shine Early Learning team has been an incredible partner through all of this.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not alone over here. We have a lot of help with Maria and Katie and everybody else over here. So we appreciate all the kind words, and I'll definitely pass it on to everybody because we truly value the work that we do, right? We're all in this field for the children. And as I mentioned that to everybody when I talk to you guys, and I know you guys are boots on the ground, having that impact every day. And we've loved to be here to support you through that process, hopefully having an impact on the children's lives. So until we can do that no longer, we will be here to support you and continue to help with this work. So any other questions okay. Also, is it Shine Early Learning or Spark Early Learning? I've heard both. So yes, there's a kind of a hierarchy, I guess, with the organization that we're with. There is Oscillero, and then Shine is underneath that. And then our specific division here in Colorado, that is part of that, is called Spark Learning Lab Colorado. So we're all kind of the same people. We're the same team that came over from Clayton initially and joined the new organization, but none of us has changed. We've all been the same faces you've known forever. And again, it's kind of there's different names for some of our different departments, but we're all the same people. And Charlie, did you have a question?
I have a comment. So let's get through the questions
Okay.
first, maybe. Julia.
Sorry, this actually is for Charlie and Michelle and Lilith. I'm just curious if, as you create that document to state that the rating would stay the same, would it be possible to have that shared with everyone? As then that way we can share that out with programs. Because I've just told them as far as I know that everything is the same and there's no concerns and I would change that. But if it's actually going to be in writing, that might be very beneficial.
Yes, and I do believe, so if you go to that link that was placed in our chat, there's this impact on ratings observation document, and I'll just put that specifically in the chat. So this is from the coloradoshines.com website. And this does list that, this does say on it that CDC is committed to minimizing the impact of the pause in ERS observations. So this kind of states that, and then the FAQ does state that we are going to do a hold harmless. But I do think that, if it would be helpful for us to come up with a standard document that just says we are intending to hold ratings during the ratings pause, we can do something like that. Yeah, Rebecca.
Yeah, I think we can either update the language on this memo, or we could also do an official informational memo from the department as well. So I'll kind of talk with the team, Julia and everyone, and get clear on what we need to do there as a next step. But there is a
Yeah.
lot already out, as Charlie mentioned, that could cover what you need for now.
Yeah, we sent out all the information with a follow-up email and stuff, but it's still, you know what I mean? They're just not quite getting it.
Yeah, and I know, something else that came up during a meeting earlier today was what expiration dates will look like, if a rating is being held during the pause, whether or not we want to choose an expiration date, that's like a standard expiration date or what those will look like, because I know there's been some concern about certificates showing as expired during the pause and if they're linked to funding and things like that. So know that's another conversation that we will be having, and we'll be coming up with a solution too. So
And then one last thing I'd just like to really quickly add, Charlie, to that. Kind of to Julia's point earlier is, if you are working with any current level 3 to 5s that you know or think would not want to rate with the current system, please have them fill out that form or reach out as soon as possible so that we can try to pull them out of the queue. The sooner we get word from these level 3 to 5s that they're going to remove themselves from the queue and pause their rating, the quicker we can turn around to the level 2s and start adding them to the queue. So as I mentioned before, you guys are the boots on the ground. You're the ones contacting programs all the time. If you know of any of these programs that want to remove themselves, please fill out the form on their behalf or reach out to the program so that they can complete that form so we can get them out of the queue.
Yes, Angie.
If we have, excuse me, we have 2 programs who rated, are not happy with their score, want to re-rate. Can they re-rate during this opportunity?
Have they already applied, Angie?
They have indicated that their desire to re-rate, but that's all they have done thus far.
Okay, let's get back to you on that. I think I want to kind of think a little bit more with Shine Early Learning, and we'll do our very best. I mean, our hope is to be able to support programs even in that situation, but I think I need a little more understanding first. So can we get back to you as soon as
Absolutely.
possible?
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
So just to clarify, we have a level 5 program who is set to expire before the end of June. They have not yet applied for the rating, but they would need to apply and then ask to hold the rating.
The
If they
rating will
don't
be
want-
held. The rating will be held regardless.
Okay,
We
perfect.
would, if they are going to, we would like them to apply before their expiration date, just so the system remains as intact as possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
And any of those programs that are applying now that their rating expires, let's say May 31st, we're not adding them to the queue. We have no capacity to add additional level 3 to 5s to the queue right now. So we're basically anticipating any of these programs that have not submitted their application yet are going to hold their rating during the pause.
Yes, yeah. And so we're not dropping anyone during the pause, but I am urging any program that would expire during the pause to apply. So that way, whenever we have the next iteration, once we remove that HVR checkbox, the checkbox that holds the rating, that way they won't drop automatically because they've applied. Let's see. I have a couple more questions in the chat. Could you please share out the response to that question? Others, so answers are available to all. Yeah, we'll pull a transcript from this meeting and get those questions either added to the FAQ or do a separate email. And then is there a report we can pull that will show all of the programs that are expiring in the next 6 months? Yes, I believe we can create that report for you, Carly. Just email the help desk and we can pull that up for you. So the one other comment I wanted to make about this is just, if you do have a program that you feel like might, is kind of wavering, not sure if they want to rate or not, I really urge you as the councils to not get into the rating month and then have that program drop. Just know that, you know, the precious time and capacity that we have in these next 6 months are really valuable. And if a program is, you know, taking the resources of our assessment team and their schedules and then pulling out of the rating in their rating month, it's taking away from another program who would have been happy to rate. So I would just really strongly urge, if a program is on the fence, just you know, encourage them. They don't have to rate, but please don't wait until the rating month to drop. We don't ever want to force somebody to go through a rating who's not ready, but we also, you know, if a program is committed to going through the rating, then we want to hold them to that commitment. And then have CCAP or licensing folks received any of this information? They have. Yeah, Rebecca, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here. We're doing our best to share internally within the department as quickly as possible, but it's kind of a parallel process. So there are times when you all are getting more information than the licensing or the CCAP team is. And so please know and give some grace as we continue to try to be as responsive to questions as possible, while also keeping everyone at the department in line with perhaps new information. So I know that's tricky, but we're trying our best, and we will continue to try to make sure the rest of the CDEC team has updated information. There may be some gaps though, so thank you for helping us with it.
Anything else here? We know that there are still, you know, a lot of unknowns. We appreciate everyone's patience and rolling with us. Never hesitate to reach out if you have a burning question or a program-specific question. You know, if you can answer for a program, encourage them to reach out to the help desk. We will do our very best to get everyone the information that we have available. And yeah, we sincerely appreciate everyone's flexibility. Looking forward to new opportunities here and really making our Colorado Shines rating 100% the best out there, and doing justice for our families and for our kids out there. So thank you again to Ivan for jumping on here and being a great partner here. And thank you everyone for your questions, and, you know, let's keep the conversation rolling. We'll do our very best to answer the questions as soon as we have the answers. So, cool. So, let's move on. And Carly, we're going to give you an FAQ. We have the standard FAQ on the website, if that will work for now. I'll send that your way. Okay. I believe that's all on the pause for now. So we have, we have Michelle, who is going to talk to us a little bit about healthcare coverage and care worker tax credit.
Great. Thanks, Charlie. Good afternoon, everyone. Michelle Stoll-Parvensky from CDC, the Early Childhood Workforce Compensation Administrator. And I just have two quick things I wanted to talk to you about. First is about health coverage options for early childhood professionals, and just sharing some resources. As you may know, this is kind of open enrollment period for Connect for Health Colorado, as well as for a lot of other health insurance plans. And as you probably know, a lot of our early childhood professionals don't have access to coverage through their work. So a lot of people, a lot of early childhood professionals are accessing health coverage to the individual market, and premiums are increasing this year because of changes at the federal level in terms of expiration of some of the enhanced subsidies. So the message from our partners at the state is really that it's very important for people to reach out to experts to help in looking at different options and looking at what financial help might be available. The state did pass some additional premium assistance that's available for low-income individuals across professions, so that there is some help still available, and obviously the Health First Medicaid program is available as well. So I want to share in the chat, and then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, just a toolkit that I pulled together on some of the resources that are available. And again, this is in the chat if people want to take a look at it. But again, here's kind of the key message that open enrollment runs through January 15th, 2026. Correct that in real time. And that one key way that people can get expert assistance in enrolling is by going for to connectforhealthcolorado.com. On there, or there's a phone number to call, which has resources available in multiple languages. You can kind of search for your zip code and find assisters and brokers in your area, sign up for appointments to actually connect with one of those assisters or brokers. And that can be a really helpful resource to share with people, especially if their premiums for the insurance product they had last year went up. They're trying to navigate what their options might be, what more affordable options might be available. We did host a webinar on health coverage options for early childhood professionals last month. So there's a link to that webinar in here if anybody wants to rewatch that or share that out. I have a link here for if there are stories that you come across while working with early child professionals about challenges in accessing health coverage. We are trying to kind of capture those to be able to advocate on behalf of our early childhood professionals for additional supports. Just recognizing the data about, how many people are uninsured kind of lags a while. It really is the stories and the anecdotes from on the ground that can help move the needle there. So if you have any stories, it could be shared anonymously. There's a link there for a form to do that. And then if there's any individuals that you come across that need additional support or connecting with a health assister or broker, there's also a form here for that, and we can connect them, find the best assister in their local area to help them. As well as here, I have a link here for resources to provide to uninsured individuals. So we have about 16% of our early childhood workforce who lacks health insurance currently, and I think unfortunately that may be increasing with the increase in costs. So there are resources in terms of accessing federally qualified health centers. There's some vision and prescription drug benefits, the hospital discounted care program. So there's a variety of resources there, but the first stop is still we want to see if we can help support people in getting access to coverage, even if it's a different level of coverage, so that they're able to access preventative care and other services. And then also in this document, there's just some messages and social media graphics if for those of you who have networks that you want to push materials out. So there's just some graphics. You may remember this graphic from last year, but we posted in here again. And then some from Connect for Health Colorado, just to again remind people that open enrollment is happening now, that they should connect with a local expert, and that there is still financial help available. Yeah, and then there's just kind of some more. I mean, obviously, I'm here talking kind of from the early childhood workforce perspective, but these messages are broadly applicable for a lot of our families as well who are dealing with these same challenges. And again, if anybody needs, some of you, the councils, you may already be connected with health assisters in your area, but if anybody needs help in connecting with the local nonprofits that are providing that support, please reach out to me. I'm happy to make a kind of warm handoff to build that connection and connect with some of those experts that can help both the professionals and the families that you're working with. So let me pause there and see if there are any questions. Okay, great. And then the other thing I wanted to do briefly was just do a reminder here. Okay, and I guess I need to reshare my screen here. A reminder here about the care worker tax credit. I know I've talked to you about it a few times before, but wanted to come back again to talk about it. And let's see, I apologize. I'm just, here, let me paste this link in. So the care worker tax credit, again, is for the first time we have this this tax year, which people will file for next year, a $1,200 care worker tax credit that's available. There are some steps that people need to take in order to claim that credit, which is specifically that they need to sign an attestation in PDIS to claim that credit. This is available both for those professionals who are working in licensed childcare centers, homes, district-based settings, as well as family, friend, and neighbor providers. But I wanted to underscore that I'm hearing still some misunderstanding from some of those providers in license or educators in licensed settings that they don't know, they thought, oh, maybe that's not a tax credit for me, it's only for the informal caregivers, or it's I can't get it if I'm already getting the early childhood educator tax credit. So we just want to be really clear, and this flyer should hopefully make it very clear that that those that are in licensed settings who meet all the eligibility requirements are eligible for both credits. So that's up to almost $3,000 back that they could get. So we know how low compensation is in this state, so we really want to make sure that we're getting the word out about this credit and making sure to address any misunderstandings that there might be about who's eligible for the credit. And again, in order to claim it, they need to complete this care worker tax credit attestation in PDIS. It's a pretty simple process. We do have an how-to guide. We have a video on how to go through it, but it's accessible just through the My Account section under profile settings. I think we walked through it in a previous TA day, but that needs to be done before they file their taxes in order to be able to claim it. So want to encourage everybody to do that. So I will also put in the chat the website again for people to direct folks to if they have additional questions. And I will put my email address in the chat if there's any other ideas that people, either questions you have about the care worker tax credit or ideas you have on how to make sure that we're spreading the word. Any questions right now that I can answer? Okay, well then, thank you for your time. And again, I'll put those resources in the chat right after I hop off or stop talking, and I will hand it back over to Charlie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. All righty. Next up, we have everyone's favorite topic, E&E, brought to you by Alyssa.
Hello. All right, good to see you all. Super quick today, my new update for you all is that we are working on, and when I say we, I mean our fiscal specialist, Grace, and I are working on your updated GAE invoice templates for the 2026 calendar year. I am going to be sending these out by mid-January, and so please use your current templates through the end of December, and then I'm going to make sure that we reconcile the correct amounts for your GAE invoice templates. I know a few of them are slightly off, and so I'm going to be running through all of our finance data that we have, what's going on in Salesforce. We're working on a spending report there so that hopefully those are all cleaned up to get us through the end of the program next year. And then I included my updates from last month as well, in case you were not able to make State TA Day. So 2 reminders for you all. One, that base invoices will require supporting documentation moving forward. This is in alignment with SLFRF, federal funding, best practice, and I really appreciate all of you. You've been great about including all of that supporting documentation. And of course, just let me know if you have any questions about what that needs to look like. And then finally here, transfer requests, capital requests to transfer funds to capital must be previously approved line items in the provider's eligible application. And we highly encourage transfers to coaching and professional development. And then the transfer request form link is in this slide deck on the final page, so please use that. And we can also use that transfer request form to forfeit any remaining funds that you will not be, or providers will not be able to spend back to the parent funding stream if you're working on cleaning up your Salesforce account with E&E funds. January 7th is going to be our next E&E office hours opportunity. But of course, if you need any additional support in the interim, please feel free to schedule an appointment with me using this scheduling link. And if you have any issues with that, just send me an email and I'm sure that we can work another time out. And if you have Salesforce questions, please put in a help desk ticket so that Danielle can support us there. Okay, in the slide deck that's linked in the agenda, you will find my email address, all of this information, and the transfer request links. So please review at your leisure, and I hope that you all have a great month. Thanks, Charlie. Any questions? Sorry, not to skip over that. All right, Charlie, back to you.
Thank you so much. E&E, something normal. Thank you, Alyssa, for keeping it current. And yeah, it's pretty soon here, only one more year, and then E&E will actually come to an end. So won't be here forever. All right, Danielle, you're somewhere, right?
I am here. Yes.
You. Okay, cool. You just have a real quick minor improvement update, and then I wanted to go through and just go through some dates and stuff for our second iteration of minor improvements. So I'll let Danielle take it away first.
Perfect. Thank you, Charlie. Sorry. I started sharing the screen before you were done talking. Hello, it's Danielle. Many of you do know me. I just want to give you a quick reminder on the coaching portal. The coaching credentials for the coaches that utilize quality improvement funding within the coaching portal have been reviewed at this time. If your credential has expired or you have not yet applied for one, you have a new coach at your council, please contact the Regional Coaching Network team to be able to get a preliminary coaching credential in place. If your coaching portal had not been logged into since it was created back last October. It now is deactivated. And if your coaching portal has not been logged in by January 1st, it will be deactivated at that time. This is to save room if you're not using the coaching portal. We want to then be able to save that space for coaches that do need to utilize the coaching portal to log their quality improvement coaching. If it has been deactivated and you do need it, just put in help desk ticket and we will get it reactivated. All right, on to minor improvement. Some of you do know that there is an error on minor improvement. So minor improvement grants, programs that have been approved with the minor improvement grant are being impacted with opening their spending request. The development team is working on this time to get this corrected. And we should have a fix for this error coming in January. This gives time for programs and providers that do have an approved minor improvement grant to continue working on gathering all their documentation for once the fix is relieved, they can submit that spending request within Salesforce with the correct documentation. And just remember, sizing with documentation does need to be under 7 gigabytes for them to be able to submit it in minor improvement within KIM once the release is fixed. I will put this slide within our agenda as well. There is a new guide on how to submit a minor improvement sending request once this correction is released. Just to remind you, we have monthly, we have our KIM office hours. The next one is on Thursday, December 18th. Join us. We'll be going over some updates, some much requested updates on the approval process. And there is my email. If you do have any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Danielle? There, sorry, my camera is acting funny. Okay, cool. Well, feel free. If a program was approved for a lower amount than 7,500, can they change the project?
I will leave that to you and Michelle and Lilith. Unless that was an E&E question.
Yeah. Tony, was that an MI question or a E&E question?
It was a minor improvement question.
I would say review that with your QI coordinator.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, would you say something different?
No, I was going to agree. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Love it when we're on the same page. Cool. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna present on the second round of minor improvements. I can't take credit for the PowerPoint. This was all Lilith editing. So thank you, Lilith. So just a reminder, the requirements for minor improvement. So this round opened up at the beginning of December and it'll close that first Friday of January. Sorry, there must be a mailman outside or something. So requirements, signed MOU under TSQI, so they need to be a level 2 or higher. That has to benefit infants and or toddlers specifically. So anything we see for like a preschool classroom is an automatic. We can't approve that. CCAP fiscal agreement for family childcare home. It's for shared spaces only. So no bedroom remodels or anything like that. The project will have to have started after July 1st, 2025 and completed before May 31st, 2026. And the grant is up to 7,500, but 7,500 is not guaranteed. So for the timeline, we have from, thanks, from 12/1/25 to 1/2/26 is when this second round application will be open. We will be reviewing and deciding the awards that first couple of weeks of January. At that point, funding will be awarded in the council's MI funding stream, and all of these glitches should be corrected by then. And if we're still having issues, obviously we'll let you know. So we still have the minor improvement instructions that we can send out to programs, and documentation for submitting a request is available on the Kim Chatter homepage. So just some recommendations again, that you've reviewed the MOU and the agreement with the program, that you are dispersing equitably. So if you've had a program that's received minor improvement in the past 4 years in a row, I don't think anybody has, but just knowing to spread it out, consider the longevity of the project. So you know your providers and you know which ones are going to be utilizing these improvements for years to come. Consider the need, please. And just a few non-expansive list of what are approvable and what are not. So approvable would include outdoor space improvements, window or door replacement, hazard repair, flooring in spaces utilized by infants and toddlers, portion reimbursed for heating and AC if it's in a home. What's not approvable would be just painting a room, a home remodel, gross motor equipment, like bikes, things like that, portable equipment, plants, anything that's not linked to a current QIP. We've also seen some for roofing. Roofing in general is not approvable. That's more of a ongoing maintenance type of project. We do have a question here. When you say required documentation attached to form request, what exactly the docs need to be? 3 bids, paid in full invoice? No, not a paid in full invoice, but at least 2 bids. Yes, at least 2 bids and just proof of like proof of licensure from the contractor, insurance, things like that. I believe that is it. So please submit for minor improvements this month if you can. We're hoping to get this money out the door quickly and get these projects reimbursed. We don't want to wait until the end. So I believe that was the last presentation here today, kind of a shorter meeting. As a reminder, next month we'll pick back up on our regular schedule, which I believe is the 3rd Thursday of the month. Any other questions, comments, anything like that to close out our 2025 State TA Days? So yeah, next meeting is the 22nd of January from 1 to 3.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Lana, and thank you, everyone. Thank you. I know lots of change going on right now. Thank you all for keeping up with it. More communication, the better. You know, if you're ever confused or just want to clarify or afraid of giving the wrong information, don't be afraid to reach out to the help desk or to your QI coordinator. We really appreciate everyone's partnership. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and has a really wonderful December holiday if they celebrate, and New Year's and everything like that. Thank you all so much for making this state amazing for our families and our children. So that's it. We'll be sending out the recording. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week and looking forward to seeing everybody in 2026. Thanks, guys.
That's as big as I'm getting it. It's like it's on my phone, you know. There we go.